"Ma'am, that's my dad's signature." 9-year-old Lena Brooks pointed at the framed architectural drawing on the Heritage Room wall. Her juice box dangled forgotten in her other hand. The rendering showed an elegant courtyard labeled Heritage Courtyard, Concept B Final Draft. In the corner, D. Brooks. Daniel Brooks, the building's janitor, lunged forward. "Lena, no. Too late." Claire Hamilton, CEO of Hamilton Designs, stood frozen in that same room. Her eyes moved from the child, to the signature, to the man in the janitor's uniform. "Impossible," she whispered. "That name." Claire Hamilton ran her father's company like a religion. At 33, she'd spent 7 years protecting Charles Hamilton's legacy with fierce devotion. Every project catalogued, every award displayed, every design decision filtered through one question: what would Dad do? The Heritage Courtyard was sacred ground. Her father's final masterpiece, completed months before his heart attack killed him. The original rendering hung in a climate-controlled room Claire visited weekly, a pilgrimage to the man who'd defined her entire world. She'd studied business at Yale, not architecture. Charles had been the visionary. Claire was just the guardian, cold and precise, keeping his flame burning. Her father's brownstone felt like a mausoleum. His books, his furniture, his ghost in every room. Daniel Brooks existed in a different universe, though he worked the same building. For 9 years, he'd pushed a cleaning cart through Hamilton Designs, invisible. Early shift, 5 to 1, so he could get Lena from school. When school was closed, she came with him quiet in break rooms with coloring books. Nobody knew Daniel had graduated near the top of his Stanford architecture class. Nobody knew he'd specialized in urban heritage preservation. Nobody knew that at 26, he'd been considered one of California's most promising young architects. That life ended abruptly. His girlfriend Rebecca got pregnant their final semester. They'd planned marriage, dual careers in San Francisco. Then Rebecca left 2 months after Lena was born. Just a note on the counter. Alone with an infant and crushing debt, Daniel reached out to Charles Hamilton, his former mentor. Charles invited him to Connecticut to work on the Heritage Courtyard project. For 6 months, they created something extraordinary. Charles's wife Margaret watched baby Lena while the two men sketched and debated and built. Daniel contributed the crucial concept, layering old and new materials to tell a story. Exposed brick meeting flowing glass, industrial heritage embracing future. Charles called it genius. He put Daniel's signature on the final draft beside his own. Then Charles died. Heart attack at his desk, courtyard plans scattered around him. The grief nearly destroyed Daniel. Worse came after. Claire took over the company. The project manager, Richard Webb, who'd always resented Daniel's closeness to Charles, saw opportunity. He told Claire that Daniel was just an intern, a charity case. Nothing more. Daniel tried to attend the funeral. Turned away at the door. He called the office repeatedly. No response. His signature stayed on the drawing, but his name disappeared from every record. Humiliated and heartbroken, Daniel vanished. When Lena started school, he moved back to Connecticut. Applied for the janitorial job at Hamilton Designs under his real name, knowing nobody would remember an intern from a decade ago. Every day, cleaning floors in the building where his dream died, where his only meaningful work hung like a trophy he couldn't touch. Lena knew none of this. She knew her father worked hard, read to her nightly, helped with homework when exhausted. But children sense things. She'd find him sketching on napkins with practiced confidence, then crumpling the paper away. She'd catch him staring at Hamilton Designs' upper floors with homesickness in his eyes. When she saw that signature, her father's signature on the building's most important drawing, everything clicked. Daniel grabbed Lena's hand, face flushed with panic. "I'm so sorry, Miss Hamilton. She didn't mean—" "Wait." Claire's voice cut sharp. She stared at the signature, her CEO composure fracturing. "That's really yours?" Daniel's throat worked. He nodded once, tight and small. "Get out," Claire said, voice hollow. "Just leave." Daniel didn't wait. He scooped Lena up and fled, cleaning cart abandoned. Lena looked back and saw Claire frozen, staring at the drawing like it had become something alien. The moment they left, Claire's knees buckled. She caught herself on a display table, breath coming in gasps. Her father's masterpiece, the drawing she'd studied hundreds of times, never really seeing that second signature. D. Brooks. Daniel Brooks. The janitor. But doubt crept in. She'd always wondered about that signature. Richard Webb had told her the courtyard was entirely her father's vision, and she'd believed him. Claire pulled out her phone. "Sarah, I need the personnel file for Daniel Brooks, the janitor." Now, 20 minutes later, she held a thin folder. Daniel Brooks, hired April 2016. Previous employment, custodial work in San Jose. Education, high school diploma. But the signature matched perfectly. Claire opened her laptop. Daniel Brooks plus Stanford plus architecture. Results appeared. Dean's List 2008. Thesis Award. A conference photo from 2009, young man, with dark hair, standing beside someone Claire recognized instantly. Her father. More searches, more mentions from that period. Then nothing. Daniel Brooks vanished from architecture in late 2009, right when her father was working on the courtyard. A memory surfaced. Christmas break, 2009. Her father in his study, surrounded by drawings. "The kid's got something special, Claire. Sees buildings, like living stories." She'd been stressed about finals, hadn't asked who he meant. Claire stood abruptly, walked to her bookshelf. Behind her father's books, a box rarely opened. His notebooks. She found 2009 and opened it with trembling fingers. Pages of sketches, notes. Then, halfway through, a name repeating. Brooks suggests layering here. Brooks's glass transition idea, genius. Showed Brooks the brick samples. His eye for texture is remarkable. Then, underlined, "This project is as much his as mine. Must ensure he gets credit." One sentence. "Brooks understands what I'm trying to do." Thank God someone finally does. Her father had believed in this man, trusted him, and somehow Daniel Brooks ended up pushing him up. She grabbed her phone. "I need everything on the Heritage Courtyard project. Every file, every note. In my office. By end of day." Then she stared at her father's photo. "What happened, Dad?" 3 days. Claire barely left her office. Cancelled meetings. Dove, into archives. Daniel came to clean on the second night, found her asleep at her desk. He stood in the doorway, expression unreadable, then quietly left. She'd woken the moment he arrived. Felt his gaze, couldn't confront him yet. The archives told a fractured story. Emails between her father and DB discussing design. Drafts with 2 handwriting styles. Meeting minutes referencing Charles and intern. But gaps existed. No contract. No official documentation. And strangest, a memo from Richard Webb dated 2 weeks after her father's death. Recommend removing temporary staff mentions from project credits to maintain clarity of vision. Richard had deliberately erased Daniel, and she'd trusted him. Day 3. Claire did something unprecedented. Left her office mid-morning. Walked through the building. Watching. She found Daniel on the 4th floor. Cleaning windows. Lena sat cross-legged nearby. Sketching. Claire watched from around a corner. Daniel moved with awareness of space. Noticing things. How light fell. Window proportions. Once he paused, looked at ceiling detail with something like appreciation. Lena held up her drawing. "Dad, look." Daniel's face transformed. "That's beautiful, honey. Is that our building?" "The library we saw last week. With the round windows." "I remember." Daniel studied the drawing carefully. "You've got the proportions perfect. And these shadows here, you always notice shadows," Lena said. "Shadows are important. They show how light moves, how a building breathes. That's what architects do, right? Make buildings breathe?" Daniel's hand stilled. Pain flashed across his face, then smoothed away. "Something like that." I want to be an architect when I grow up. Like you wanted to be. Claire's breath caught. I'm a janitor, Lena, Daniel said gently. But you wanted to be an architect. I know you did. Absolute certainty. And you would have been really good. Daniel pulled his daughter close. You can be anything you want, sweetheart. Claire turned away, something tight in her chest. That little girl knew her father had lost something. Claire pulled out the notebook again. Last entry, dated the 15th of January 2010. Final presentation tomorrow. Brooks and I created something special. Can't wait for Claire to meet him. He's going to do great things. Tears came. Her father had wanted her to meet Daniel. She needed Daniel's story. But first, one more confirmation. She called Harrison Reed, her father's attorney. Harrison, did my father leave instructions regarding the Heritage Courtyard? Pause. Your father left a sealed letter. To be opened if a young architect named Daniel Brooks contacted the company within 5 years of Charles's death. Richard Webb said he never did. Claire's grip tightened. Where is that letter? My office, safe. I'll be there in 30 minutes. Harrison's office overlooked the Hartford riverfront. He unlocked his safe and produced a yellowed envelope. Your father was specific about this. Daniel Brooks tried to contact us. Richard made sure I never knew. Harrison's expression darkened. That's a serious breach. Claire took the envelope. Her father's handwriting. For Claire. Regarding D. Brooks and the courtyard. She broke the seal. My dearest Claire. Asterisk. If you're reading this, Daniel Brooks has returned. And I'm gone. Asterisk. Asterisk Daniel is extraordinary. The Heritage Courtyard is as much his vision as mine. He brought the crucial insight, the layering, the dialogue between old and new. He sketched the concept that became our foundation. Asterisk. Asterisk. I insisted his name go on the final draft because he earned it. He doesn't fully believe in himself. Life's been harder than it should be. Raising his infant daughter alone, struggling financially. Asterisk. Asterisk, I've tried helping, but he's proud. So I've taught him, collaborated as equals, showed him the architect he can become. Asterisk. Asterisk. If he's reaching out, he hasn't given up. Please, Claire, give him a chance. I believe in him completely. I need you to believe too. Asterisk. Asterisk. There's money set aside compensation for his work. I never properly gave him. Harrison has details. Make sure he gets it. Asterisk. Asterisk. Remember, buildings aren't just design or profit. They're about people who create them and communities they serve. Daniel understands that. Learn from him. Asterisk. Asterisk, I'm proud of you. I know you'll do right by him. Asterisk. Asterisk. Love always. Dad asterisk. Claire read it twice, tears streaming. Harrison pushed tissues across his desk. There's more, he said gently. Account information. Documentation of Daniel's contributions. Even a contract your father drafted. Richard knew. Claire whispered. I'm afraid so. Jealousy. Richard wanted to be Dad's protege. But Dad chose Daniel. When Dad died, Richard erased the competition. Claire stood abruptly. I need copies of everything. What will you do? What my father asked. Make this right. Claire requested a meeting. Formal email asking Daniel to her office, 3 p.m. Friday. Daniel arrived on time, still in work uniform, expression carefully neutral. Please, sit, Claire said. He sat, meeting her eyes directly. I know who you are, Claire said. What you did for my father. About the courtyard. Something flickered across Daniel's face. Miss Hamilton, I'm not looking for anything, just needed work. I didn't come to make trouble. Why did you come back? To this building? Daniel was quiet. Your father was the best man I ever knew. Working here keeps me close to that time when things were different. It doesn't sound crazy. Claire pushed her father's letter across the desk. Read this. Daniel's hands trembled as he picked it up. When he finished, he set it down carefully and pressed palms against his eyes. "I didn't know," he said, voice thick, "about any of it. Why didn't you fight for credit? After he died?" Daniel laughed without humor. "I tried. Came to the funeral. Turned away. Called the office dozens of times. Sent emails. All ignored. Eventually got the message. Just an intern. Expendable. Richard Webb," Claire said. "Never liked me. Thought I was overstepping. Didn't realize how much he resented it until after." Daniel trailed off. "After my father died and Richard erased you, I had a baby daughter, no prospects. Architecture's a small world. Word got around I'd been let go. Other firms stopped calling. I couldn't afford to fight, so I disappeared." Claire felt righteous anger. "You should have been at that funeral. Recognized at the courtyard opening. Your name on every plaque. Maybe. But I'm not that person anymore. I'm a janitor with a 9-year-old. I'm not looking to reclaim some lost career. What if I'm looking to restore what was stolen?" Daniel shook his head. "I appreciate it, but this isn't a gesture." Claire pulled out documentation. "This is legal recognition. Compensation my father intended. The truth. I won't dishonor his memory by continuing to hide it." "I don't want money," Daniel said firmly. "This isn't about what you want. It's about what's right. What my father wanted." Claire's voice softened. "He believed in you. Wanted me to know you. Work with you." Daniel's jaw worked. "That person is gone. I'm not an architect anymore. Can't or won't. Does it matter? Yes. Because my father thought you were extraordinary. I'd like to understand why." Silence. Finally, Daniel stood. "Thank you for telling me about your father's letter. Means more than you know. But I can't go back." He walked to the door. Claire let him go. "Mr. Brooks," she called. He turned. "Your daughter is very proud of you. She told me you would have been a great architect. She still believes in you." Pain flashed across his face. "My daughter deserves better than empty dreams. She deserves to see her father honored for what he created. That's not empty. That's justice." Daniel left without responding. Claire spent the weekend at her father's house, trying to understand the man she thought she knew. She found a box in the back of his closet. Inside were photographs Charles and young Daniel at a drafting table. Charles holding tiny baby Lena, while Daniel presented sketches, both at a construction site. Grinning. In every photo, her father looked happy. Daniel had given him that. One more thing. A letter addressed to Daniel, dated 2 days before her father's death. Unsealed. Never sent. Asterisk. Dear Brooks. Asterisk. 2. Asterisk. Tomorrow, we present final concept. I've been thinking about what comes next. I want you as my partner, official, equal, permanent. Asterisk. Asterisk. I know you'll protest. Too young, too inexperienced. But I've done this 40 years. Never met anyone with your instincts. Asterisk. Asterisk. Having contracts drawn up. Hamilton and Brooks Designs. Not charity recognition of what you've contributed and will continue creating. Asterisk. Asterisk. I hope you'll say yes. Can't imagine doing this without you. Asterisk. Asterisk. Yours, Charles Asterisk. Claire read through tears. Her father had wanted Daniel as partner and died before making it happen. She understood now what she had to do. Monday morning, Claire walked into the board meeting with documents and determination. I'm here to discuss the Heritage Courtyard, she announced. To correct a historical inaccuracy regarding its creation. For an hour, she presented everything. Notebooks. Harrison's letter. Photos. The partnership agreement. A young architect named Daniel Brooks was integral to the courtyard's design, she concluded. My father intended him recognized as co-creator. That recognition was deliberately suppressed by Richard Webb. I'm proposing we correct this immediately. The room erupted. Questions. Concerns. Some worried about legal implications. "Where is this Brooks now?" asked Gerald Martinez, oldest board member. "He works here," Claire said simply. "He's been our janitor for 9 years." Profound silence. "You're telling me," Gerald said slowly, "that the co-designer of our most celebrated project has been cleaning our floors?" "Yes." Gerald's face darkened. "Charles talked about a young architect right before he died. Brilliant kid. I assumed he went on to success elsewhere. You're saying he's been here all along?" "Yes." "Then we fix this. Now." Gerald looked around the table. "All in favor of formally recognizing Daniel Brooks as co-designer of the Heritage Courtyard, with full retroactive credit and compensation as Charles intended?" Unanimous. Claire felt something unknot. "One more thing. I'd like to offer Mr. Brooks a position as heritage consultant. Not from guilt, but because my father believed he had extraordinary talent. I'd like to give him the chance to prove that's still true." "Does he want that?" someone asked. "I don't know," Claire admitted. "But I'm going to ask." Claire found Daniel on his lunch break outside with Lena. The girl showed him something on a tablet. "Mr. Brooks," Claire said. They looked up. "May I speak with you?" Daniel's expression guarded. "Of course." Claire sat uninvited. She addressed Lena first. "Your library drawing was very good." Lena's eyes went wide. "He showed you? He's right to be proud." Claire turned to Daniel. "The board voted this morning to formally recognize you as co-designer of the Heritage Courtyard. Your name will be added to all documentation. The compensation my father set aside will be transferred. We're hosting a ceremony next month to unveil updated plaques." Daniel opened his mouth. Claire held up a hand. "I know you don't want this, but it's not about want. It's about honoring my father's wishes and telling the truth. You don't have to attend if uncomfortable, but the recognition is happening." Daniel looked helpless. "I don't know what to say." "You don't have to, but I have a question. Think about it before answering." Claire pulled out a folder. "We're expanding the courtyard, adding a community education wing focused on architectural heritage, always part of the original plan. We've secured funding now." She handed him the folder. "Preliminary sketches. Budget. Job description. I want you to lead the design as heritage consultant, not as janitor, as architect." Claire held his gaze. "My father believed you were extraordinary. I'd like the chance to see if he was right." Daniel stared at the papers. Lena had gone very still. "Dad," she whispered. "She's asking you to be an architect." "I can't," Daniel said, voice lacking conviction. "Haven't worked in a decade. Not licensed anymore. You can get relicensed. We'll support it. You won't work alone, full team. But I need someone who understands what this project means. Someone who cares about heritage and community." Claire leaned forward. "My father chose you for a reason. I'm asking you to trust that reason. Why does this matter so much to you?" Claire considered. "Because I spent 7 years thinking I knew my father. And I was wrong. He wasn't just brilliant. He was a teacher who believed in the next generation. You were that investment. I failed to honor it. I can't undo 7 years, but I can make the next 7 different." She stood, leaving the folder. "Think about it. Talk to your daughter. You have until Friday." As she walked away, she heard Lena's excited whisper, "Dad, you have to say yes," and Daniel's quiet response, "It's not that simple, honey." But Claire smiled. She'd heard something else in his voice. Hope. Daniel didn't answer Friday. Instead, Thursday evening, he showed up at Claire's office after most staff had left. He carried the folder, marked up with notes and sketches. Claire looked up, surprised. "Mr. Brooks." "Daniel," he said. "If we're working together, call me Daniel." Her heart skipped. "Does that mean I have conditions?" He set the folder on her desk, open to modifications he'd sketched. "I'll consult, but maintain my current position until relicensed. Can't risk my daughter's stability on a maybe. Fair. Flexible hours so I can be there for Lena. School pickups, appointments, whatever she needs. Non-negotiable. Of course. And I want my name on it. Not hidden. If I'm doing this, I'm doing it as myself. Daniel Brooks, architect. Claire felt something fierce rise. Your name will be everywhere it belongs. I promise. Daniel nodded, then pulled out another paper handwritten contract addendum. I want a scholarship fund, established in your father's name for architecture students, who are single parents or non-traditional backgrounds. Part of my compensation seeds that fund. Daniel, that's the deal. Your father gave me a chance when I was drowning. I want to do the same for others. Claire read his proposal, impressed. This is beautiful. Is it a deal? She extended her hand. It's a deal. His handshake was firm, architect confident. Something had shifted in him. One more thing, Daniel said. The ceremony next month. I'll attend, but I bring Lena. And I want to explain to her, properly, who her grandfather was. Claire felt tears prick. Her grandfather? Your father. That's what he was to her, even if she never knew it. He held her as a baby. Talked to her while I worked. Lena's first word was build, because she heard us say it constantly. Daniel's voice roughened. She deserves to know the man who helped shape her father. The grandfather who loved her before she could remember. He would have been so proud of her, Claire whispered. I think he'd be proud of you too. For doing this. Making it right. They stood in the dimming office. Two people connected by a man neither could hold but both carried forward. I'll have legal draw up contracts. And Daniel? Thank you. For trusting me. Thank you for fighting for it. Lena asked me once if I believed in second chances. I told her yes. But I'm not sure I really did. Not for myself. He smiled. Maybe I do now. After he left, Claire sat in quiet and felt her father's presence. Not haunting. Just there. Approving. At peace. She'd found the person he wanted her to find. Over the next month, something remarkable happened. Daniel split time between custodial duties and working with the architectural team. At first, skepticism. Who was this janitor? But Daniel won them over with quiet competence and insights that elevated everyone's work. He noticed things others missed, asked questions that opened possibilities, sketched concepts that made the lead architect, Patricia, say, "Oh," out loud. "Where have you been hiding?" Patricia asked. "Right here," Daniel said. "Cleaning your office." The story spread. Not as gossip, but as reminder that talent didn't always look expected, that worth wasn't determined by titles. Lena came to the office after school now, not in break rooms, but in the design studio, doing homework at a desk they'd set up. Architects spoiled her with pencils and paper. She flourished. Claire watched with satisfaction and longing she couldn't name. She'd never thought about family, but seeing Daniel with Lena, seeing how the office softened around this child, Claire felt her carefully controlled life blurring. She and Daniel fell into easy working relationship. He called her Claire now. They met twice, weekly. Meetings often running long. Conversations drifting from architecture to books to life. "Did you ever regret it?" Claire asked one evening. "Walking away from architecture?" Daniel considered. "Every day. And never. I lost my career, but gained Lena. Got to be there for every milestone. Every bedtime story. How do you regret that? But you lost yourself." "No," he said quietly. "I lost a version of myself. But found other parts. Being Lena's father taught me things no program could. Patience, resilience, how to build a life from whatever materials you have." He smiled. "That's architecture too." Claire thought about her own life. So carefully constructed, so empty. "Do you think it's possible to get back what you lost?" "I don't know if you get back exactly what was lost. But maybe you build something new with the pieces." He looked directly at her. Is this about me or you? Both, Claire admitted. Daniel nodded. Then I guess we're both figuring it out. The ceremony approached. Claire kept its small board, key staff, select guests. Updated plaques ready. Bronze, with both names in equal prominence. 3 days before, Lena found Claire in her office. "Can I ask you something?" Lena said. "Of course." "Come in." Lena perched on the chair edge. "Did you know your dad wanted my dad to be his partner?" Claire's breath caught. "How did you know that?" "Dad told me." "About the letter." Lena swung her feet. "I think that's sad, that they didn't get to work together longer." "It is sad," Claire agreed. "But maybe it's not too late. Not for your dad, because he's gone. But for my dad. And you." Lena looked up. "Maybe you could finish what they started. Together." Claire felt her throat tighten. "Is that what you'd like?" "I'd like my dad to be happy. Really happy, not just okay happy. And I think building things makes him really happy." Lena hesitated. "You seem kind of sad sometimes, too. Maybe building things would make you happy, too. You're very perceptive." "My dad says that means I notice stuff." Lena grinned. "I notice you smile more now than a month ago. And my dad hums sometimes when he's working. He didn't used to hum. Is that so?" "Yep." Lena stood. "I just wanted to make sure you knew. That it's okay if you want to be friends with my dad. In case you were worried." She left before Claire could respond. Children saw truth more clearly. They hadn't learned to complicate everything with fear. Claire texted Daniel before overthinking. Asterisk. "Thank you for taking the chance. It's meant more than I can say." Asterisk. His response. Asterisk. "Thank you for making it possible. You gave me back something I thought was gone forever." Asterisk. Claire typed. Asterisk coffee. "After the ceremony Friday? I'd like to talk about next steps. For the project and other things." Asterisk. 3 dots. Then, asterisk. "I'd like that. Lena says you need friends who understand buildings. She might be right." Asterisk. Claire smiled. Then got back to work, planning a ceremony that would finally set the record straight. The ceremony day dawned clear and bright. Autumn sun slanted through the courtyard's windows. The space looked magnificent. Charles and Daniel's vision fully realized. Claire stood at the podium, looking at assembled guests. Daniel sat front row with Lena, both dressed up, both nervous. She caught his eye. He nodded. "You've got this." "My father believed buildings should tell stories," Claire began. "The heritage courtyard was his greatest achievement. But for 7 years, we've told an incomplete story about how it came to be." She detailed the truth. Charles Hamilton's mentorship of brilliant young intern, their collaboration, the partnership her father intended, the erasure that followed his death. Daniel Brooks didn't seek recognition. For 9 years, he worked in this building without making himself known, content to remain invisible. But invisibility wasn't what my father wanted. Charles Hamilton wanted the world to know what Daniel contributed. More than that, he wanted Daniel to keep creating. Claire gestured to new plaques being unveiled. Today, we correct the record. The Heritage Courtyard was designed by Charles Hamilton and Daniel Brooks. Equal partners, equal visionaries. Immediate applause. Daniel stood, uncomfortable. But Lena grabbed his hand and pulled him forward. Claire handed the microphone to Daniel. He held it awkwardly, then looked at Lena, who nodded encouragingly. "I don't have a prepared speech," Daniel said. "Not good at this. But I want to say thank you. To Claire, for her courage. To the board, and to Charles Hamilton, who saw something in me I didn't see." His voice roughened. "Charles Hamilton was the best man I knew. He taught me architecture isn't about buildings, it's about spaces between people, connections we forge, communities we build. He showed me creating something meaningful requires both vision and humility. And he believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. Daniel looked at Claire. His daughter has that same gift. Same courage to see potential and fight for it. Charles would be proud of the woman she's become. I know I am. More applause. Lena tugged his sleeve. He bent down, she whispered. He smiled. My daughter wants me to say one more thing. She says Charles Hamilton held her as a baby, and even though she doesn't remember, she feels like she knew him, like he's been with her all along. Daniel's voice cracked. I think she's right. The best people never really leave. They live on in what they taught, in what they inspired us to become. He handed the microphone back and returned to his seat. The ceremony continued, board members speaking, colleagues sharing memories, Patricia presenting expansion concepts. But the heart had already happened, truth told. Record set straight. Afterward, Gerald Martinez pulled Claire aside. Your father talked about that boy constantly in his last months. Wanted him at every meeting. Richard hated it. But Charles didn't care. Why didn't you say something? Gerald looked ashamed. Didn't know he'd disappeared. Richard said he'd moved to California for better opportunity. Never thought to question it. He shook his head. We failed him. I'm glad you've made it right. Claire found Daniel on the courtyard balcony, away from the crowd, looking at the space he'd helped create. Overwhelming? She asked. A little. Not used to being seen. You'll have to get used to it. Daniel smiled. Patricia already told me I'm presenting at the next conference. Tried to argue. But she's terrifying. She is. But she's right. Comfortable silence. Finally, Daniel said, I meant what I said. About you. Charles would be proud. I'm just trying to honor his legacy. No, you're creating your own. That's different. Better, maybe? Daniel turned to face her. You didn't have to do any of this. Could have kept status quo, protected your comfort. But you chose truth over ease. That takes courage. Claire felt heat in her cheeks. I had good motivation. Still, thank you. You've already thanked me. I'll probably keep thanking you. Claire laughed. Come on. We have a coffee date. And Lena won't let you skip it. She's already picked the place. Apparently they have excellent hot chocolate. Smart girl. The smartest. They returned to the reception together. If people noticed them standing closer than necessary, no one commented. Some things were allowed to unfold in their own time. Coffee became regular. Then dinner, Lena chaperoning most times. But sometimes, when Lena stayed with friends, just the two of them, talking about buildings and books and life surprises. Claire learned about Daniel's wilderness years, odd jobs, night classes, memorizing journals in the public library. He'd never stopped being an architect in his head. Daniel learned about Claire's loneliness, the weight of being Charles Hamilton's daughter, the impossible standard she'd set. You don't have to defer forever, he said one night. You're allowed to want things outside work. Like what? Like connection. Community. Love, even. He said it carefully. Watching her. I'm not very good at those things. Neither was I. Then I had Lena, and she forced me to learn. Daniel smiled. Sometimes the best things come from being forced out of your comfort zone. I want to expand the education wing to include a mentorship program, she said suddenly. Pair established architects with students. The way my father mentored you. Daniel's eyes lit. That's brilliant. Would you run it? Be the director? Claire, I'm barely relicensed. You have the experience. You know what it's like to need someone who believes in you. She leaned forward. This is exactly what my father would want. You. Teaching the next generation. Daniel was quiet. Can I think about it? Of course. But Daniel? Stop underestimating yourself. You've already proven you belong here. He smiled. You're very persuasive. Learned. From the best. Is that what this is? Belief? Claire held his gaze. Yes. In your talent, your vision. What you can build. I believe in you, Daniel Brooks. The air shifted, charged. Daniel reached across the table. Claire met him halfway. Their hands linked, warm and certain. "I'll do it," he said. "One condition." "What's that?" "You participate too. We co-direct it. Hamilton and Brooks, the way it should have been." Claire felt tears prick. "My father would love that." "What about you?" "Yes," she said simply. "I would." A year passed. The education wing opened to acclaim. The mentorship program launched with 12 pairs. Daniel's scholarship fund awarded its first grants. And somewhere in all of it, Claire and Daniel fell in love. It happened gradually, then all at once. Maybe watching Daniel present at that first conference. Maybe the night he brought soup when she was sick. Maybe the quiet way he understood her. For Daniel, realization came when Claire defended one of his ideas against conservative board members. She'd been fierce and articulate. He'd thought, "I could love this woman." Then, "I already do." Lena knew before either admitted it. "Are you going to marry Claire?" she asked her father one evening. Daniel nearly choked. "What? Why would you?" "You should," Lena said matter-of-factly. "She makes you happy, and she needs someone who gets her. You get her. It's complicated." "Why?" "You like her. She likes you. You both like buildings and me. Seems simple. What about you? How would you feel?" Lena rolled her eyes. "Dad, I've been waiting for you to figure it out for months. Claire's great. She looks at you like you're special, which you are, but it's nice someone else sees it." Daniel pulled his daughter close. "When did you get so wise?" "I've always been wise. You're just slow." She hugged back. "It's okay to be happy, Dad. Grandpa Charles would want you happy. You never met him, but you're right. Then stop being scared and tell her." 2 weeks trying to find the right moment. Finally, Claire beat him to it. Late Friday in the completed education wing, just the two of them. The space gleamed wood and glass and light. A plaque, Charles Hamilton Memorial Education Center. Designed by Daniel Brooks in honor of his mentor. "We did it," Claire said softly. "We finished what they started. We did more. We built something new." Daniel turned to her. "Claire, I need to tell you, I'm in love with you," she said, words rushing out. "I've been trying to figure out how to say it. When, if I should. But I'm tired of being careful. Tired of deferring what I want, and I want you. If you feel the same." Daniel kissed her. The only answer that mattered. When they broke apart, he pressed his forehead to hers. "I love you too. Have for months. Lena told me to stop being scared." Claire laughed, bright and free. Smart girl. The smartest. They stood together in the space they'd built, surrounded by the legacy of a man who'd believed in both, who'd brought them together. Charles Hamilton's final gift. Each other. 2 years later, Hamilton Designs unveiled its latest project. A second heritage courtyard building dedicated to community education. The plaque read, "Designed by Claire Hamilton and Daniel Brooks. Completed by Lena Brooks, future architect." Lena, now 11 and sketching buildings with sophistication, stood between her father and Claire, who wore an engagement ring and beamed. "My grandfather used to say buildings tell stories," Lena said, reading from notes. "This building tells the story of second chances, of people who found each other because they understood that making beautiful spaces isn't about being perfect. It's about being honest and brave, and willing to build something better." She looked up at Daniel, then Claire. "My dad and Claire are brave. They took something broken and made it beautiful. That's what good architects do. They're the best architects I know." Daniel's eyes were bright. Claire squeezed his hand. After the ceremony, they walked through the new building, Daniel, Claire, Lena. The space was everything they'd hoped. Light-filled, welcoming, designed to inspire. Young architects from the mentorship program had contributed. Students from the scholarship fund helped with the garden. Bigger than any one vision, woven from many hands. "Your father would be so proud." Daniel said in the central atrium. Our father, Claire corrected gently. She'd been thinking about this. Daniel, I want to ask something important. Okay, I want to add your name to the company. Not as consultant, as family. Hamilton and Brooks Designs. The way my father intended. Danielle went still. Claire, you've earned it. But more than that, you're going to be my husband. Lena's going to be my daughter. We're family. The company should reflect that. What about Charles's legacy? This is his legacy. You and me. Working together. Honoring past while creating future. Claire smiled. He literally wrote it in a letter. Hamilton and Brooks Designs. He wanted this. I want this. Lena tugged Claire's sleeve. Does this mean I get to change my name too? If you want to, Claire said. Lena Brooks Hamilton. Or Hamilton Brooks. Which sounds better? How about we figure that out together? Daniel said, pulling them both close. As a family, they stood in the light. 3 people who'd found each other through loss and architecture and love. Outside, the city moved on. Inside, a family held each other and dreamed of what they'd build next. Because that's what architects do. They dream, plan, create. They take empty spaces and fill them with possibility. They honor what came before while reaching toward what could be. Charles Hamilton had known that, and in his final act of faith, he'd passed that knowledge to 2 people who would carry it forward together. The signature on the heritage courtyard had been more than a name. It had been a promise, a bridge between past and future. And in the end, it brought them all home.